All right, let's dive right into today's explainer. We are going to take a fantastical, ancient origin story and completely decode it to reveal the living, breathing blueprint of an entire civilization. We're looking at the epic of Oghuz Kagan, and I promise you, by the end of this, you won't just see a myth. You'll see the actual, literal architecture of how some of history's greatest empires were built. To kick things off, we've got to ask a genuinely wild question. I mean, picture this. How could a legendary baby who demanded raw meat and fermented mare's milk, Khamis, right after birth, lay the foundation for massive, real-world empires? It sounds like pure fantasy, right? But here's the thing. Every single exaggerated detail in this story was engineered to communicate core political and cultural instructions to future generations. So let's jump into part one. The birth of the legend. We'll start with this superhero-style origin. Notice how Oghuz is painted as this ancient avenger. According to the source texts, back when the sky was blue and the earth was brown, he was born to Kagan. He nurses from his mother exactly one time, then immediately speaks up and demands meat and drink. In under 40 days, he's walking, riding horses, and shooting arrows. Picture these physical traits. Feet as strong as a bull, a waist as lean as a wolf, and a chest as mighty as a bear, literally covered in hair from head to toe. This wasn't meant to be monstrous. It was a carefully crafted symbol of supreme physical power and the ultimate mark of rulership. And it perfectly illustrates his tactical brilliance right out of the gate. His lands were being terrorized by a bloodthirsty beast called the Kagan, this massive dragon bull hybrid that was just slaughtering herds and people. But Oghuz doesn't just rush in blindly. He breaks his attack down into 3 calculated steps. Day 1, he leaves a deer as bait. Day 2, he ties up a bear. By day 3, when the monster comes back, Oghuz is waiting in ambush and takes it down with a single spear strike. He proved he wasn't just strong, he was strategic. He had truly earned his right to lead. Moving on to part 2, divine guidance and lineage. Let's see how his cosmic backing and his legendary guide were actually established. His celestial and terrestrial lineage is beautifully mapped out here. One day, while praying, a heavenly maiden with a sacred mole and blue eyes descends in a blue light. She becomes his first wife and gives him 3 sons, Gun, Ai, and Yildiz, meaning sun, moon, and star. Later on, while hunting, he finds an earthly maiden with wavy hair and pearl-like teeth sitting inside a hollow tree in a dark lake. She gives him 3 more sons, Guk, Da, and Deniz, meaning sky, mountain, and sea. Through his bloodline, he is literally uniting the heavens and the earth. But even a supreme leader needs a direction, right? Enter the famous Bozkurt, the gray wolf. It steps right out of a heavenly blue light with a massive promise, telling Oghuz to march his armies because I will be your guide. Wherever the wolf stopped, the army stopped. Wherever it walked, the army followed. This mystical guide led Oghuz on a campaign of global victories, stretching all the way from India and the Near East to China and into the far north. All right, part 3. The golden bow and silver arrows. This is the crucial moment where mythology pivots into actual real-world statecraft. It all starts with a dream. The wise vizier Ulu Turuk has this incredibly powerful prophetic vision. He sees a massive golden bow stretching all the way from the east to the west and 3 silver arrows shooting toward the north. When he tells Oghuz Kagan about this dream, Oghuz instantly recognizes it as a sign of world domination. So he decides to test his 6 sons by sending them out into the wild to track down these exact mythological objects. And here is the genius of it. By looking at the older and younger sons, the Bozoklar and Uchaklar, we are looking at the very foundation of the dual state organization used in actual Turkic governance. The older sons find the golden bow in the east. Oghuz breaks the bow into 3 pieces, hands it to them, and names them the Bozoklar, the upper ruling wing. The younger sons find the 3 silver arrows in the north. They become the Uchaklar, the subordinate attached wing. This east-west, right-left division wasn't just a story. It became the exact administrative model for their empires. To celebrate this massive reorganization of his empire, Oghuz throws a legendary feast. And check out the number here, 40. He orders 40 troughs of kumes to be prepared. This highlights a number that sits at the very heart of traditional numerology for this culture. Remember, he matured in 40 days. We see 40 days and 40 nights of celebrations. It's a foundational number that represents completeness and major life transitions. Let's pull back the curtain in part 4, the cipher of symbols. we're going to completely decode these metaphors to reveal the hidden blueprint. Think about a bow and arrow for a second. The bow and arrow aren't just weapons in this context. They are literal, binding legal contracts. The bow shoots the arrow, the bow commands, and the arrow obeys. Therefore, the golden bow represents the unshakable right to rule, while the silver arrows represent loyalty, submission, and serving the sovereign. It is basically a constitutional document, brilliantly encoded into a story. Now, lock this number into your memory. 24. Those 6 sons we just talked about, they go on to have 24 grandsons. And these 24 grandsons are the mythological founders of the 24 Oghuz tribes. We're talking about famous tribes like the Kaya, the Kunuk, and the Afshar. So this isn't just some fairy tale family tree, this is the direct ancestral backbone, the legitimate lineage claimed by the incredibly powerful Seljuk and Ottoman empires. And what about the wolf? Well, the Bozkurt is decoded as the ultimate national symbol of guidance. In this mythology, the wolf is the carrier of Kut, which basically translates to a divine blessing, a literal mandate to rule from heaven. So it wasn't just a cool animal, it was the physical manifestation of heaven giving direction to the nation's military and political campaigns. Also, remember those 2 wives? They actually represent deeply rooted ancient belief systems. The first wife, descending in a blue light, represents Tengrism, the sky god faith. The second wife, the one found in the hollow of a tree in a lake, represents the earth water cults and the sacred tree of life, which is closely tied to the ancient mother goddess figure, Mother Umai. The epic is literally marrying these 2 ancient religious concepts together to unify the beliefs of the people. Finally, let's move to part 5, Traces in Cultural Geography. Let's see how this ancient story physically maps onto the modern world we live in today, because it definitely didn't just stay in the past. The cultural footprint of this epic is just massive across Eurasia. We start in Kazakhstan around Yesi and the Karachuk Mountains, remembered as Oghuz's ancestral headquarters, right near where the great tomb of Ahmed Yesevi stands today. Then you have the breathtaking Altai Mountains in Issyk-Kul, which serve as the symbolic geography of his legendary hunts. Up near the Ural Mountains and the Volga River, the epic maps out the borders where new tribes like the Karluk and Kongli emerged during his campaigns. And hey, if you go to Ashgabat, Turkmenistan today, you will see massive modern monuments and statues completely dedicated to Oghuz Kagan. He's still a huge cultural anchor. And the geography gets even more hyper-specific when we look at Anatolia. If you take a road trip across Turkey today, driving through regions like Denizli, Gaziantep, or Bolu, you will literally drive through towns and villages named Kayi, Kanik, Urayer, and Chepni. Those are the exact names of those 24 tribal grandsons. It proves this epic is a living geographical reality, actually mapping the historical migration and settlement of these descendants into Anatolia. Basically, you can peel back almost any layer of this region's historical culture and find Oghuz Kagan. Everything from modern state protocol and governance structures to the traditional nomadic yurt culture, all the way down to the architecture featuring those iconic double-headed eagle motifs, it can all be traced back directly to the concepts established right in the pages of this epic story. So as we wrap up this explainer, we've traveled from a mythical baby demanding raw meat to a sprawling, living blueprint that shaped real empires across entire continents. The metaphors of the bow and arrow, the divine wolf, and the 24 tribes, they weren't just folklore. They were the very constitution of a civilization. I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. When you look at the names on a map, the symbols on historical architecture, or even just the way societies organize themselves, where does the legacy of Oghuz Khangan live in your life today? Take a look around. You might be surprised by what you find.